Yo, welcome back to the channel, everybody. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon and The Blackest Heart, both books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today we're going to be reviewing an excellent mystery slash thriller novel called Call for the Dead by John Le Carre. This was his first ever novel that he wrote, and John Le Carre went on to become one of our greatest thriller novelists in the history of the world. A world treasure, John Le Carre. I've got all of his books right there in my book collection. Anyway, we're going to be starting to review each one of these in order of publication. I already reviewed The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, but we're going to try to reread these all in order of publication and leave a review on the channel for you all to enjoy. Now, this camera is just not behaving itself for me. It's crooked. You know what? We'll deal with it being crooked this time, guys. Came out in 1961. It is his first book starring George Smiley. He's got a recurring character in a lot of his books named George Smiley. He is a spy for M15 or M15, the British Secret Service spy. That's why I'm wearing my British shirt. Anyway, I try. John Le Carre. One of the reasons I like John Le Carre, before we get into the George Smiley in this book, let's talk about Le Carre himself. He's similar to me in that he started out as a teacher, or wanting to be a teacher, as a commercial artist. I've mentioned my commercial art career here several times. He was, things like that just weren't working out that great for him, so he entered law enforcement. Me too. And he ended up in the British Secret Service, and then he became a writer. Me, I started out in commercial art, didn't work, law enforcement, and now I'm a writer. Hey, I get it. That's why I like the dude. I knew I liked him. I've been buying his books for ages. Anyway, George Smiley. He is like Le Carre. He is just like Le Carre. In fact, he's described by his own wife, George Smiley, the main guy in this, the main spy slash guy who solves the murder, is his own wife describes him as breathtakingly ordinary. That is an absolute wonderful description. And I'm going to read if you want to learn how to describe a character, John Le Carre is one of the greatest writers of all time, in my opinion. And he can write a description that will just blow you away. And this is from his first book, from the very first page of his first book. Listen to the way he describes this guy. George Smiley, short, fat, and of a quiet disposition. He appeared to spend a lot of money on really bad clothes, which hung about his squat frame like skin on a shrunken toad. Dude, that's fucking beautiful. Beautiful. Anyway, this book starts out with introducing us to George Smiley. We get a description of his early marriage and divorce from the wife that called him breathtakingly ordinary. And if you follow the George Smiley books that Le Carre has written, he really does love his ex-wife, and he does remain friends with her, but she did leave him because he's breathtakingly ordinary, and she does date some bad boys after she dumps him. She dates one a-hole after the next. Even in the Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy miniseries with Alec Guinness, we get to see a little bit of that relationship play out further than what we get in book number 1. Anyway, George Smiley becomes a commander in the circus, which is M115, and they call it the circus. They're spy ring, and we get to meet some of our other characters that drift in and out of the books, like Peter Gwilym and a few of the others that drift in and out of the M116 or M115 circus spy ring. But what the main plot of this is Samuel Fennan. George Smiley goes to give Samuel Fennan like a routine interview about some documents and things involving another case. Well, right after George Smiley leaves this interview, Fennon commits suicide. And so now George Smiley has to investigate the suicide. And he's talking to people around Fennon, and especially Fennon's wife, and his wife is being very dodgy. And is it suicide? Now George Smiley's like, is it suicide? His wife is like really a bad person, just an objectionable human. And so anyway, I wanted to read this bit of dialogue. No, it's not really dialogue. It's just, well, it kind of is dialogue, but it just describes the theme of the story really well. And it's when George Smiley is talking to the dead man's wife, and she's being very cynical about her husband's career as a spy and what it's done to them and how it's affected them and given them trauma. So George Smiley asks, "What dreams do you cherish, Miss Fennon?" And she answers, "No dreams. Look at me. What dream did they leave me? I dreamed of long golden hair, and they shaved my head. I dreamed of a beautiful body, and they broke it with hunger. I have seen what human beings are." And she's talking about when she was in the camps of Auschwitz and things like that, and how that they affected her. Like, those killed my dreams. I became who I am because of what happened to me as a youth. There are no dreams. That's why I'm kind of a douchebag to everybody, including my husband. I didn't like him. I didn't like his career. I thought he was, thought everything in her life related around that experience of being in the Nazi concentration camp, which I get. Hey, I get. If something can turn you into a cynical a-hole who ends up being kind of a bad person, that's kind of an experience that maybe would do it to some people. But she, anyway. So, did she kill her husband? Was it suicide, or was it something else? Was there something else in Fennon's life that would have resulted in his death? That is the mystery. Such a well-written piece of literature. But everything John Le Carre does is like that. So, if you want to start, for a John Le Carre novels, this is a good starting point. I actually think the better starting point would be The Spy Who Came In From the Cold, which is book number 3. But certainly this is an entertaining and very well written murder mystery novel, which he wrote while he was working for the circus, M15.